On my eternal quest to find the perfect fishing game, I stumbled upon this little gem, boasting open objective based gameplay, advanced death mechanics, and punishment mode. It also has graphics, I think, and a soundtrack that I can only describe as music. What more could you want in a video game? I did the only thing a normal sane person would do after seeing this magnificent masterpiece of a video game. I bought it. And it's the best decision I've made all year. So sit back, get yourself comfortable with a bag of meat flavored something and a drink that's probably liquid flavored. Because this is Cruelty Squad. Just from an outside glance into the game, you wouldn't think it has any sort of fishing in it. Or if it does, it would just be bare bones fishing mechanics. But this game has some of the most difficult fishing mechanics I've experienced in a game. Some fish only spawn at certain times. Some fish only spawn when you've entered a difficulty. And some fish only spawn when you're wearing a hat that makes it rain. Once you've even figured out the criteria to get certain fish to spawn, you then have to deal with the mechanic of actually catching the fish. And you need really good reaction time to catch these fish. Some fish don't even give you a fifth of a second to catch them. And your average human reaction time is a quarter of a second. But we'll get to those fish when we get to them. To start fishing, you'll need a fishing rod, of course. You will find the fishing rod on the second map you unlock, Sin Space Engineering, where you have to do the difficult task of looking away from the objective, and you should see a hut in the distance in the ocean. You can either swim there, or take the forklift. Whatever gets you there at the end of the day. Once you're at the hut, you will encounter a fellow fishing enthusiast, and his spare fishing pole will just be on the table. And make sure not to kill him. Unlike most NPCs in this game, you can kill them and they respawn. This guy has permadeath mode enabled, so if you kill him, he's gone forever. Or until you reset your save. Now that you have the fiberglass fishing pole, you can practically fish anywhere there's water. The ocean, sinks, sewers, basically anywhere with water. Unless you're on the map Mole Madness, where fishing is disabled for some reason. There is water on the map, but you're unable to fish in it. Every map has a different pool of fish that you can catch from. And with most maps having at least one unique fish to them, there's about 74-ish fish to catch in this game. And here's what you can expect to catch from each map. While you're spending time at the Cruelty Squad headquarters, this is what you can expect to catch. The Slurper is going to be the most common fish you encounter on this map. It's a really easy fish to catch. I think you have a whole second to catch it. And also sells for practically nothing on the market, about 20 credits on average. Another really common fish you'll encounter is the flesh rat. And I really hate these things. They're disgusting little creatures that if you encounter in actual gameplay, one bite will poison you, and they're basically impossible to hit. They have the tiniest hitbox in the game. And catching them is just disappointing because they sell for nothing and they're just very common. A fish with about the same rarity that you can encounter on this map is the brainy. Now this is the first fish that you might encounter with a special spawning criteria. That criteria is, it needs to be nighttime. Now how do I make it nighttime in Cruelty Squad? It's pretty simple. You just go to your window setting, adjust time and date, and make it around midnight. I'm unsure what Cruelty Squad considers nighttime, but about midnight seems to work normally. Also, this fish is described to be really smart, in fact too smart for its own good. But even though it's such a smart fish, it sells for basically nothing on the market, about 150-ish on average, and is the most valuable fish you will encounter on this map. And the rarest fish you'll encounter on this map is the civilian. Now you might be thinking, the stuff I previously mentioned barely passes for fish, but you know, could be fish. This is just straight up a guy. But since you can catch them with a fishing rod, they count as a fish I guess. They're described as not worth much, they're everywhere. And yeah, they're worth nothing. They're worth about a credit at best. And yeah, that's all the fish you'll encounter at the Cruelty Squad headquarters. I'd give this map a D tier. I wouldn't go out of my way to fish on this map, but you know, if I'm bored and at the Cruelty Squad headquarters, I'll fish there. Next map is Pharmakokinetiks. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. Good luck. This map has 4 fish to encounter, and the most common fish that you'll encounter there is the pool sucker. You're going to encounter a lot of these fish, so get used to seeing them. They're really easy fish to catch, and they really don't sell for a lot, sadly. A very uninteresting fish. Another really common fish you'll encounter across a fair few maps is the shrimp. This is meant to be a sought after fish because it's beautiful. I don't see the hype. It also really doesn't sell for much. Just like the pool sucker, get used to seeing them, you will see a lot of these guys. You will also encounter the brainy on this map, which still needs it to be nighttime. This map also has the first really rare fish, and it's the bowls fish, which is one of the new fish added to the game, and when it was added it would crash your game. I think when I was hunting for this fish it took me about 10 minutes to find one and catch it. They're not really hard to catch, they're just rare, and sadly they don't sell for a lot. About 300 credits on average. Another thing of note on this map, you're able to fish in a sink inside the toilets. I'm gonna put this map on B tier. Why? Cause bowls fish. Next map, Paradise. This map has 7 different fish to catch, and a handful of unique fish to the map. You will encounter the pool sucker here, and once again, very common fish, you will see this guy a lot. Another common fish you'll encounter is the night freak. Now, it's in the name, it needs to be nighttime for this guy to spawn. In the description of this fish, it hides in daytime and only emerges at night. And sells for about 200 credits. Practically worthless fish. Just a bit more valuable than the pool sucker. Next up is the Gloomoid. Not a lot to say about this fish, it consumes sin apparently. I wonder why it's on this map. Now we have the Brimstone. This fish is relatively common and pretty easy to catch. It's also yellow because it's covered in sulfur, which also probably means the fish smells really bad. Next up you have the Small Man. This fish is described to be pretty hard to catch, but in the scale of Cruelty Squad fishing and hard to catch fish, this guy is pretty easy to catch. The Small Man sells for about 1,000 on the market, which in the grand scale of Cruelty Squad is practically nothing, but still a fun fish to catch. Now we have the Big Man. Now this fish requires a special criteria to spawn. You need to be in the difficulty Hope Eradicated. Now there are 2 ways to enter the difficulty Hope Eradicated. The first way is to enter the house in front of you and go into the basement. The basement will be pitch black, so you either need to bring a torch or wear the funny night vision goggles. Once you've entered the basement and are able to see, you'll see a weird flower creature. You need to kill it or it will kill you very quickly. Then you'll stumble upon a door which requires you to still have your divine light connected, which means you need to have not died until this point. If you have died, you can reconnect your divine light by doing a mission in punishment mode. Once you've entered the door, you need to navigate your way through this maze. You'll see zombie-like creatures which are actively unkillable. You can knock them down but they'll go right back up. Once you've followed the path that I've shown, there will be a mod on the table called the Cursed Torch. Take it and then exit the map. Equipping this torch will enter you into the difficulty Hope Eradicated. The other way to enter the difficulty Hope Eradicated is to go into the Cruelty Squad headquarters. You need to blow up this suspicious looking wall and then follow the path and climb into the roof. There will be a flesh rat in the roof, so make sure to kill it. Now you need to change the resolution to the way the game is intended to be played, which is the resolution 640 by 480. Now you need to touch the funny orb at the back, which will immediately kill you and enter you into the difficulty Hope Eradicated. Doing this will also kill any of the unique NPCs in the Cruelty Squad headquarters. And, just like our fishing friend, do not respawn. Now that you're in the difficulty Hope Eradicated, you now can catch the Big Man. This fish will spawn about as often as the Small Man, but sells for about double the price of the Small Man. And the final and rarest fish you can catch on this map is Human. Now this fish definitely isn't a corpse that has been disposed of in the water. You can find it on a few maps and is normally pretty rare. Despite it being so rare, it practically sells for nothing, about 1 to 10 credits. I'm gonna put this map on B tier because of the funny compound that you can find on this map. The next map on the agenda is Sin Space Engineering. Now this is the first map that features an ocean, and there's an ocean load of fish in it. The most common fish you will encounter on this map is called fish. There's nothing special about fish. It just looks like a fish. Sells for about 30 credits apparently. You'll encounter this guy on a fair few different maps, so get used to seeing him. Another really common fish you'll encounter is dead fish, but the only thing different about this guy is you need to be in the difficulty Hope Eradicated to encounter him. So if you don't want to encounter this fish, just don't be in the difficulty Hope Eradicated. The next fish you'll more than likely encounter is the Zupa. Apparently this fish makes strange noises, but I'm yet to hear a sound they make. They really don't sell for much on the market either, pretty cheap fish. Now we have the eel. Now the eel requires it to be raining, so if you want to catch this thing, you need to be wearing the Tattered Rain Hat. Now to find the Tattered Rain Hat, you need to go to the map Idiot Party. Now instead of going into the underground complex, you need to go behind it and you'll find a cave where the Tattered Rain Hat will just be sitting on the ground waiting to be picked up by you. Once you have it, leave the map and equip it. The Tattered Rain Hat does two things: it makes it rain and increases the spawn rate on rarer fish. It also should come with a seizure warning, because if you just have this hat equipped and are not in the difficulty Hope Eradicated, lightning will hit the ground every few minutes, causing you to get flashbanged, which can completely fuck up your concentration while fishing and cause you to lose rare fish. Also, it hurts your eyes after a while. Also, while wearing the Tattered Rain Hat, it causes the music to become nice and chill. Perfect fishing music. Anyway, back to the eel. Once it's raining, this fish will spawn pretty often. On average, the eel will sell for about 400 credits, but I've seen it as high as 700 before. The description of this fish is nothing special, it's just snake-like and loves the rain. One of the harder fish to catch in this map is the carabino. You have about a third of a second to react to this fish before it runs away, and you will encounter this fish a fair bit due to it being one of the more common spawning ones on this map. It's also described as deranged, so do what you want with that knowledge. It also on average sells for about 500 on the market. This fish is honestly really good for training your reaction speed for the more difficult fish you will encounter in the future. Another fish that requires it to be raining is the flounder. Nothing to really note except it was deformed by sin and sells for about 600 on average. Now we have the blurpo. It's apparently the smelliest saltwater fish you can encounter. It also sells for practically nothing, maybe about 50 credits on average. We have another run-in with the night freak, except on this map it's less common. The next fish is called
Giga Flounder,
which has two criteria to spawn. It needs it to be raining and nighttime, and is the first fish that actually sells for a reasonable amount, around 17k on average. Unlike the normal flounder, this one's deformed by power instead of sin, which apparently makes you purple. Honestly, a really good fish to catch, especially if you need to make a little bit of money. Next up you have the moonfish, which requires it to be nighttime. This fish is pretty rare on this map. I only encountered one every 5 or so minutes while fishing, but it's a pretty easy fish to catch. You have about half a second to catch it. Now we have one of the harder fish to catch in the game. This one is the 4th hardest fish to catch in the game. It's called the Hydra. This fish has two criteria for it to spawn. It needs to be nighttime and in the difficulty Hope Eradicated. But you have to be a madman to try and catch this without the Tattered Rain Hat as well. Once the fish spawns, you have about a quarter of a second to catch it. And I've noticed it only spawns once every 15-ish minutes. It took me about an hour to catch my first Hydra, and then I accidentally sold it. But once you've caught one of any fish, it will be in your fish tank forever. Doesn't matter if you sell it later. And that's every fish you can encounter on the map Sin Space Engineering. This map is the first S tier. Besides this map having a great pool of fish to catch from, you also have a fishing buddy to do it with. So I think it's worthy of the S tier position. The next map I'll be talking about is Androgen Assault. What the fuck are these map names? Anyway, the fishing location of this map is actually not that easy to find. Instead of entering the main building, you have to take a side road to go behind it and you'll see a sewer grate. Bust open that sewer grate and your nose will thank you. You can either fish from above the sewer grate or take the plunge and swim through the sewers to find a better fishing location. Once you've decided on your fishing location, you can expect to encounter 6 different types of fish. If you're in the difficulty Hope Eradicated, you'll encounter a lot of dead fish in this map. And if it's nighttime, you'll encounter a lot of night freaks as well. You'll also encounter the Gloomoid on this map as well. And if you're not catching the Gloomoid, you're more than likely catching the Psycho fish. This fish apparently sucks the psychic energy out of you, which apparently doesn't increase its value by much, it only selling for about 400 on average in the market. So be careful of that if you're hunting this fish. You get another appearance from human on this map as well, which are definitely not corpses. They're 100% living, breathing fish. The most unique fish you'll encounter on this map is the bouncy castle. If you want a chance of catching it though, it needs to be raining, so you need to pop that Tattered Rain Hat on and go fishing. After you catch it, it's not really worth much on the market, only worth about 1,500, but is a pretty cool fish to have in your fish tank. I'm gonna rate this map C tier. There's only one unique fish on this map, but it is a pretty cool fish. Fuck mole madness. Next map is Apartment Atrocity. So I bet you're thinking, you can fish on the apartment map, but you can't fish in the mall. To get to the fishing location on this map, it's kind of annoying. You have to deal with the people who are trying to kill you in the hallway. I recommend a rocket launcher, does the job pretty well. After blowing them all to bits, you need to take a left and go into your neighbor's apartment, and proceed to blow up his floor, which will reveal the perfect fishing spot. Just a quick heads up, this room is full of flesh rats for some reason. Once you start fishing here, you realize something pretty quickly. There is no point fishing on this map. There are 2 fish to catch, one of them is the fish, and the other one is the dead fish. It's kind of annoying that you have to go out of your way to find this fishing location, and your reward is 2 fish you can catch on other maps. So yeah, this map gets a definite F tier. The next map I'll be talking about is Seaside Shock, which has a boatload of fish in it. There's a handful of unique fish on this map as well, but the most common fish you'll encounter on this map are the fish, and if you're on the difficulty Hope Eradicated, the dead fish. Another really common fish you'll encounter is the flippy. The flippy on average will sell for about 100 credits on the market. The flippy is a fairly common tropical fish. They also do suicide attacks on ship engines. Another fish you'll catch a lot of on this map is the balloon fish. If you were planning on eating this fish, I do not recommend it, because if you don't prepare it properly, it can cause stomach ulcers. It also doesn't sell for a lot, around 200 on average. A fish you'll encounter just as often as the balloonfish is the skippy, which is only worth a little bit more than the balloonfish. Apparently it skips along the water with its disc-like body. If you're wearing the Tattered Rain Hat, you have a pretty high chance of encountering the octosaur. Now this thing only sells for about 400 on average, and this fish is actively dangerous. It can release a cloud of acid that it uses to drown divers, so be careful while handling this guy. The next fish is called
fragfish.
This fish is just straight up a grenade. It actively will attack boats by exploding. Besides, the danger of it, it's also pretty good though, averaging about 1,500 credits. You also need to be in the difficulty Hope Eradicated to encounter this little fella. You will also see a few familiar faces here, them being the Night Freak and the Drimp. Another unique fish you can encounter on this map is the dolphin. And you might be thinking, this does not look like a dolphin at all. According to its description, it's kinda our fault it looks like this. And apparently, we kinda don't want anything to do with it, because it really doesn't sell for a lot, only about 500 credits. Here's a more unique looking fish than the dolphin, the grab shark. See, this shark doesn't bite you, this shark grabs you and drowns you by pulling you to the deep parts of the ocean. And on average sells for about 4,000 credits. You also need to be in the difficulty Hope Eradicated to find this guy. Honestly, pretty cool looking fish. Now we have the 3 rare fish on this map. The easiest of the 3 rare fish to catch is called the Unidor. It's described as a rare tropical fish. They also use it to make bionics. And it sells for about 3k on average. The second most rare fish on this map is called the Nocta. If you wish to encounter this fish, you have to wait until nighttime. And once you catch it, you can expect to sell it for about 7k on average. And the rarest and most valuable fish you can catch on this map is called the Hexasaur, which rules over all octosaur. If you want a chance to encounter this fish, you need to be wearing the Tattered Rain Hat. Once you've caught it, you can expect to get about 20k for it off the market. And that's all the fish you can catch on Seaside Shock. I'm gonna give this map an A tier. It does have a relatively large pool of fish to catch from, and they're pretty unique, but none of them are particularly hard to catch. And I'm gonna have to end part 1 here. I know no one likes videos that are in parts, but my editing software that I'm using is quite literally dying. I'm scared if I don't export this video now, I'm not gonna have a video to go back on to work on. But you probably don't have to wait too long for part 2. So everyone who stuck it this through, thanks for watching, enjoy your night, and have a good one.